Hello guys, my name is Josephat. I'm going to teach you how to solve questions on angle properties of a circle. And before we start, I would like you to like my video, subscribe to my channel, share the video to reach as many people as possible, and also to help other people improve on their math skill. So before we start on the tackling of questions, I want to introduce you to the topic, and for you to tackle any question, you need to at least know 7 or more properties on this topic. For the first property that you need to know is that if a chord subtends an angle at the center, it is twice the angle subtended by the same chord at the circumference. The angle at the center is twice the angle subtended by the same chord at the circumference. Any point in the circumference. For example, you have chord AB. It subtends an angle at C, and it also subtends an angle at O. O is the center of this circle. This angle here, it is twice this angle. So if this is theta, then this angle is 2 theta. That is the first property that you need to know. The second property is that if a chord subtends an angle at the circumference, it's equal to all other angles at any point on the circumference. Or you can restate the property and say that a chord subtends equal angles at the circumference. For example, this chord AB subtends an angle at C and at D. These are two angles on the circumference of the circle at C and at D. The angles should be equal. If this angle is theta, this should be also equal to theta. That is the second property. The third property is that a diameter subtends an angle of 90 at the circumference. If you have a diameter AOC, this one, it subtends an angle of 90 at the circumference. This angle here at B is 90. That is the third property. The fourth property is that opposite angles of a cyclic quadrilateral adds up to 180, or the angles are supplementary angles. For example, if ABCD is a quadrilateral, this angle and this angle adds up to 180. This plus this angle adds up to 180. They are opposite. For example, this angle at A and this angle at C, they should add up to 180. That is the fourth property. The fifth property is that angle between a chord and a tangent to the circle is equal to the angle subtended by the same chord at the circumference. The angle between a chord and a tangent to the circle is equal to the angle subtended by the same chord at the circumference. You have a tangent DAE, this one, and you have a chord AB. The angle between this tangent and this chord is theta. It should be equal to the angle subtended by the same chord at the circumference. This chord subtends an angle at C. We are saying this angle and this angle should be equal. That is what the property is stating. So if this is theta, this should be also equal to theta. The sixth property that you need to know is that the angle between the radius and a tangent to the circle is equal to 90. You have a tangent DAE here, and you have a radius to the circle. the angle between them should be equal to 90. That is the sixth property. The seventh property that you need to know are the general properties, for example, of a triangle, that angles in a triangle add up to 180. That is a property that you should know. Then about isosceles triangle, it has two sides that are equal and that the base angles are also equal. Those are some properties that you need to know. For an equilateral triangle, all sides are equal and also all angles are equal. Then you also need to know that a straight line adds up to 180 degrees. Now you don't need to state like I've done. You don't need to use the same words. You only need to understand the property, then restate it in your own words. Now I would like us to look at one question, and my advice to you is that you need to you can either fill in all the angles, then state the properties later, or you can use any method that you are going to use. So let's read the question. I'm using the Kenya Med Familia or the KCSE Med Familia. It has all the questions from 1989 up to date, and I've chosen a question in 2004 that was a paper 1 question number 22. Let's read the question. It says, in the figure below, KRMN are points on the circumference of the circle center O. The center is O. Points KOMN, KOMP are on a straight line. PN is a tangent to the circle at N. Angle KOR is 130, and angle MKN is 40. Find the values of the following angles, stating the reason in each case. So I'm going to show you how to fill all the angles, then we can state the properties later. Now we can start with the first property, that if a chord subtends an angle at the center, it is twice the angle subtended by the same chord at the circumference. We saw that. For example, you have chord KR, it subtends an angle of 130 at the center and another angle at N. This angle should be equal to, it should be twice this angle. So for you to get this angle, you take your calculator and it's going to be 130 divided by 2. So this angle should be 65 degrees. Then you can go to the second property. It says that if a chord subtends an angle of theta at the circumference, it's equal to all other angles at any point on the circumference. A chord KR subtends equal angles at the circumference. For example, this chord subtends an angle at N, and it also subtends an angle at M. Those two angles should be equal. So we have 65 here. This should be 65 degrees. Then we can go to angle properties of a triangle. For an isosceles triangle, it has two sides that are equal and the base angles are equal. If you look at KOR, it's an isosceles triangle with this as the radius and this one as also as a radius. So this is your radius, this is your radius. Both are equal. That means that the base angles should also be equal. That is an isosceles triangle. For you to get the base angles, you need to take 130, 180 and subtract it from 180. So 180 minus 130, that is 50. So both angles add up to 50. If you need to get individual angles, you divide by 2, 25. So this angle here is 25 degrees, 25 degrees. Then you can join NM to form a chord like that. And if you look at NM, it subtends an angle of 40 at K, and it also subtends another angle here at L. Also, those two angles should be equal. It subtends this angle here, 40, and it also subtends another angle there. So those two angles should be equal. Then if you look at RM, it subtends an angle here, an angle of 25 at K, and it also subtends another angle here at N. This angle, which is 25, and also it subtends another angle here, which is 25. Then also you need to know that if KOM is the diameter to the circle, it should subtend an angle of 90 at the circumference. KRM is the angle subtended by the diameter at the circumference. So the whole of this angle here should add up to 90. You have 25 plus, you can call this x, plus 40. 25 degrees plus x degrees plus 40 degrees should add up to 90 degrees. For you to find x, you take 25 to the other side, it becomes subtraction. You take 40 to the other side. Okay, before you take 40, let's subtract 90. Let's subtract 25 from 90, we get to 65. Then you take 40 to the other side of the equal sign, it becomes negative 40 degrees. So when you subtract 40, you get 25 degrees. It means that x is equals to 25 degrees. This angle here, it's 25 degrees. Now, if you look at KN, it subtends an angle at R, this angle here, and it also subtends an angle at M, this one here. I hope you can see that. It subtends this angle and it also subtends this angle. So both of these angles should be equal. You have 25 here plus 25, that becomes 50. So this angle here should be 50 degrees. Then you can use the property of a straight line that it adds up to 180. KOMP is a straight line. This angle and this angle should add up to 180. So for you to get this angle, you take 180, you subtract 50 degrees, you get 130. So this angle here is 130 degrees. After that, you need also, for this chord here, we said that the angle between a chord and a tangent to the circle is equal to the angle subtended by the same chord at the circumference. That if you have a tangent NP and a chord NM, the angle between the chord and the tangent is equal to the angle the chord subtends at the circumference. So this chord subtends this angle here, and it also subtends this angle here. So these three angles should be equal. So if you have 40 here, this should be also equal to 40. Then you use the properties of a triangle, that angles in a triangle add up to 180. So if you take 40 plus 130 plus an angle x there, you're supposed to get 180. 130 plus 40 plus x, it's supposed to give you 180. So we can also add from this side and get 130 plus 40, 170 plus x is equals to 180. Take 170 to the other side, it becomes 170 negative. So x is equals to 180 minus 170, 10. So you have 10 degrees at P. Now let's find the angles that we've already got. MRP, MRP, MR, not P, MRN, the angle is 40. Now, I told you you can first fill in the figure, then give any reason that is viable. For example, you can say that the angle between a chord and a tangent is equal to the angle subtended by the same chord. Or you can say that a chord subtends equal angles at the circumference. Any of those properties is correct. So angles subtended by the same chord at the circumference are equal. That is the property that you are supposed to state, or you can state any other property that is viable. ORN, this angle here, which is 25. Now, for this 25, you can say that we got it from 90. The diameter subtends an angle of 90 at the circumference. So you can give that diameter subtends an angle of 90 degrees at the circumference. R and P, R and P, R and P. You have 25 plus 40. 25 degrees plus 40 degrees, that should give you 65 degrees. Yeah, you can this is also a chord, by the way. NR is also a chord. This is a tangent. So the whole of this angle should be equal to the angle subtended by the same chord at the circumference. So still you can restate this property down here at C. MPN, MPN, the angle is 10 degrees. Now we got it from the angle properties of a triangle. Angle properties of a triangle. That a triangle, angles in a triangle adds up to 180 degrees. That is how you tackle such questions. Now, thank you for watching my video. If you have any question, please let me know at the comment box down below. And if you have any other suggestions on the topics I should tackle, please let me know. Don't forget to like the video, share, and subscribe to my channel. But before you go, I have a question that I'm going to give you as an assignment for today. You can try to use the same properties that I've shown you today, tackling this question. It's also in the Kenya Med Familiar. If you have it, it's question 12 on angle properties of a circle, topic 29, page 118, question 12. Thank you for watching. Stay safe.